This time, we're looking at how a hockey game got really political.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it, but sometimes, a hockey game is more than just a game.
Yeah, it got pretty crazy. We're talking about the Four Nations Tournament Canada versus the USA, big rivalry, right? So this game went into overtime,
Nail-biter.
tied score, and then boom, Connor McDavid scores the winning goal for Canada.
Classic McDavid.
3-2 final score.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This was all happening when things were kind of tense between Trudeau and Trump.
Oh, yeah. That definitely adds another layer to it.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
Trump had made those comments about, Canada becoming like the 51st state and calling Trudeau governor.
Not exactly the best way to make friends north of the border, right?
Definitely not. And, Trudeau, he didn't just sit there and take it. He actually fired back on X.
Oh, yeah. What'd he say?
He said, "You can't take our country and you can't take our game."
Whoa. Okay, so he's definitely not just talking about hockey anymore, right?
No way. It felt like he was using the hockey win to kind of push back against Trump and that whole idea.
Yeah, like Canada standing up for itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Using a hockey game to make a statement. And it makes me wonder, did it affect how the fans were acting at the games?
Well, let's just say things got a little out of hand. There were actually people booing during the anthem.
Both anthems.
Yeah, both the Canadian and the American anthems throughout the whole tournament.
Hey,
It was crazy.
booing during the anthems. That's not your usual rivalry stuff.
No, not at all. It went way beyond that. And then it got even worse during one game.
What happened?
So some Canadian fans were booing the Star-Spangled Banner, and then fights broke out in the stands.
Seriously. Fights?
Yeah, it was chaos. People were really letting those political feelings spill over.
Man, that must have been intense to be there. So it sounds like there were some pretty strong emotions going on.
Oh, definitely. You had the excitement of the game, but then underneath it, all this tension, this political stuff bubbling up.
Yeah, like a powder keg waiting to explode.
Exactly. And it wasn't just the negative stuff either. There were also a lot of people just there to enjoy the game and cheer on their team.
So like a mix of everything.
Yeah, a total mix. You had people singing their anthems with pride and passion, and then others who were using it as a chance to let out their political frustrations. It was a strange combination.
It must have been a wild experience to be in the arena that day.
You can say that again. It really makes you think about how a simple hockey game can become so much more than just a game.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just a game when you've got all that other stuff going on in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you think about, how countries use sports for almost like a propaganda thing.
Right. It's always been a thing. Like the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's like this big stage to show off how strong your country is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that Miracle on Ice game in 1980, the U.S. beating the Soviets during the Cold War. That was huge.
Exactly. It was way more than just a hockey game. It was like this symbol of America, standing up to the Soviet Union.
Right.
And it happened at like the peak of the Cold War.
So the hockey game was like a battle in the bigger war.
In a way, yeah. And it's kind of like what we're seeing with this Canada-USA game, too. That tension between the countries definitely makes the game mean more.
And today, with social media and everything, it just blows up even more.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Every little thing gets analyzed and people put their own spin on it. It's
Yeah.
hard to just enjoy the game for what it is sometimes.
Speaking of social media,
Yeah.
Trudeau's response on X, that was pretty interesting. It's like politicians are using these events to get their message out there.
It's smart. They know people are already paying attention, so they use it to their advantage. And it's not just politicians either. Athletes are getting more vocal about political stuff, too.
Yeah, it's like, are they just entertainers? Or do they have a responsibility to speak out? What do you think?
That's a tough question. There's no easy answer. But I think it's important to just be aware of it all, Like, we can't just ignore it.
So we got to be informed fans and understand there's always more to the story.
Exactly. And be willing to have those tough conversations about, where sports and politics meet and how it all affects us.
So going back to that Canada-USA game, it wasn't really just about hockey, was it?
Not really. It was about politics, national pride, and maybe even starting some important conversations.
It was like a mirror reflecting everything that was going on.
Exactly. It just goes to show that even a simple hockey game can have these hidden layers of meaning. And it's up to us to try and understand them.
It's kind of crazy to think that a hockey game can be about so much more than just the sport itself.
It is pretty wild, especially when you throw in these old rivalries and political tensions.
Yeah, it all just adds fuel to the fire.
Mhm.
Like with this Canada-USA game, it really shows how those things can collide.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that sports are often like a reflection of what's happening in society and politics.
It's like we've been saying those lines are getting blurrier all the time. And it makes you wonder, how should we be watching these events? Do we just cheer for our team and block out everything else, or should we be paying more attention to what's going on behind the scenes?
It's a question we all have to ask ourselves, I think. There's no easy answer, but it's important to remember that these things don't just happen in isolation. They're connected to the world around us. They shape it, and they're shaped by it.
That reminds me of what you said earlier about how countries have used sports to push their own agendas. It makes me wonder if we're more sensitive to that now. Or maybe it's just that we're more connected because of social media and all that.
I think it's probably a bit of both. We're definitely more aware of how sports can be used for political reasons. And with social media, everything is amplified and analyzed constantly. It's tough to just shut that off and enjoy the game sometimes.
So what does all this mean for the future of sports? Are we going to see more events like this? And how should we be approaching them as fans?
It's hard to say for sure what the future holds, but the world is becoming more interconnected and more politically divided. So I think it's safe to say that sports will keep being a place where these tensions play out. The important thing is to be aware of it all, engage with it in a thoughtful way, and maybe even use it as a chance to start some conversations and try to understand each other better.
So next time you're watching a game, whether it's hockey or soccer or even the Olympics, think about the bigger picture. Think about what's happening off the field or off the ice. What stories are being told? How does it connect to your own beliefs? You might see things in a whole new way.
That's a great point. Sometimes the best deep dives are the ones that make us question things and look at the world from a different angle.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another look at something unexpected.